If you're a guy and you don't have a biological brother that you're close with, I feel bad for you. I do, And my brother is great, and we used to talk almost every day. We don't so much anymore because he's gotten very busy with work and all kinds of things. But we still talk pretty regularly, and we text all the time. And of course, we make fun of each other, and he makes fun of me constantly. And one of the things that he says about me regularly is he makes fun of what I do on YouTube and Twitter, and he calls me an influencer. And that's pretty gay. So anyway, I wanted to talk about influencers today. Yeah. I try to deny it. I try to say, no, I'm not an influencer. But at the end of the day, deep down inside, I know that I kind of am. And it's not great. I'll tell you that. It doesn't feel great. But in any case, yeah, influencers. The world of influencers is very cringy, obviously. And what I wanted to do is, this is all inspired by John Harris posted something about Tradwife influencers, giving Allie Beth Stuckey some credit for I don't even remember exactly what she said, but something about LARPing or I don't know, something like that. But anyway, a lot of people were not happy with John with that. But there is definitely some truth to that whole thing. This is on the screen that you see before you. This is an influencer named Wes Watson. Now, obviously, he's not a Tradwife influencer, but he is one of these alpha male guru, types. Of course, he sells mindset courses and coaching programs and all that kind of thing. And his whole story arc is very hilarious. Now, I found Wes Watson because I used to watch ex-prisoner content. That was something that I watched quite a bit. And it was these guys that were in prison for a certain amount of time, and then they come out and they tell prison stories. And I always found that interesting. Now, he did that for a while. He would talk about how he was a shot caller. He did 10 years. He was a big, alpha male type, and everybody listened to him. And, he was putting in work and all this kind of stuff. And the content was pretty interesting at that point. And he had a little bit of humility to him, even though he kind of was always, a little bit kind of roid ragey and all that. But he had a little humility to him. But then over time, as he started getting popularity, he started selling these courses and talking about mindset, vibrations, and flow state. I'm like, you got to get in flow state, all this kind of stuff. And he became very materialistic and all this kind of stuff. And now he's like what they call a swole cow. You ever heard of what a swole cow is? A swole cow is just like a lol cow, except that they're swole. You know what I mean? And they're alpha male types. And it turns out he's kind of a scammer, a little bit of a liar, that kind of stuff. Which doesn't surprise me because it's the internet. Of course, people are not telling you the truth. Everything's curated on the internet, and that's just how it is. And so Wes Watson's become kind of a joke, and I watch every now and then people just roasting Wes Watson, especially his more cringy stuff that he says and all this kind of thing. So, sad story. He might actually be going back to prison because he beat some guy that came to fight him. He beat him, and then while he was down, unconscious, basically, allegedly, he just continued to beat him. So, very sad thing. Ex-prisoner going to go back to prison because he can't control his temper. But these guys are jokes to me. I mean, I don't watch alpha male guru content, to learn how to be a male, how to be a man, or anything like that. I mean, obviously, even their free advice is it's out there. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's all wrong. I mean, some things he says are pretty good, but obviously, I'm not buying a course to learn from Wes Watson how to be a man. Obviously, he's got nothing for me. The guy's single, doesn't have any kids. It's just not. That's just not gonna. It's not gonna fly. But people do. I mean, people buy his courses and stuff, and he has a lot of money allegedly. People say his mansion's rented and his life is rented, which is probably true. It's how it typically is. But you still have to pay the rent. So he's got some money. But this is This is not really a serious person. You know what I mean? Anyway, so but apparently, I didn't know this. I didn't know this, but on the Tradwife side, they've got the same kind of thing. These Tradwife influencers who put out their content making sourdough and how to be a Tradwife. Well, yesterday I found out that they also do this kind of stuff. Mindset courses and coaching and stuff like that. This is according to John Harris. He showed me this. He said he showed me a website called Tradwife University. Tradwife University. So let's pull it up and check it out. So here we go. We got Tradwife University. Learn from the best. Learn on your schedule. Be ready for your Mr. Right when he appears. Get your Tradwife University certificate to show that you know what it means to be a wife. That is bizarre, my friends. This is really weird. So I guess the idea is that you take these Tradwife courses, and then you get your Tradwife certificate, and then when Mr. Right, maybe it'll even be Wes Watson. Maybe Wes Watson comes. I don't know if Wes Watson's a Mr. Right. He seems to think that he's a very high value man, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but Mr. Right comes, Wes Watson comes along, sweeps you right off your feet. That's what this guy's done. He's sweeping this girl off her feet, and then just to, you obviously you get to know him, but then you show your certificate, your Tradwife University certificate, and you say, Wes, check this out. I already know how to be a wife. I'm a Tradwife, and here is how is because I have this certificate. That's pretty weird. That is pretty weird. And so you can sign up. You can learn how to be a wife at your own pace. We've got private classes here, which is like the one-on-one coaching, I'm assuming. You got the small groups, which is like, the Zoom call coaching, stuff like that. Online tutoring, student access. You can even get Tradwife gear, which, this is a pretty sweet shirt. Tradwife University kind of looks like a normal university shirt, except it's the Tradwife shirt. They've even got courses here. Now let's check out some of these courses, because this is where really kind of the rubber meets the road. Tradwife University, it's just a vibe unless there's courses, right? So we've got the introduction course. This is 101, introduction course 101. Get started today and become a wife. Take advantage of this reduced, currently low introductory price. $5. That's it. $5 to get your introductory course on how to be a Tradwife. That's a steal. I got to say, this must not be as lucrative as an enterprise, because, if you want to get a course with Wes Watson, it's going to cost you 4 G's easily. He'll show you how to be, for 4 G's, what you get with Wes is you get to meet him, and he yells at you and curses at you for, an hour or so. Although allegedly I've heard that even though they're hour meetings, it's only like 10 minutes, he just curses at you. And then he gives you a workout program and an eating program. That a lot of some people, this is the thing about the internet, someone will sign up for this course just so that they can do content on the content of the course. So like someone's given Wes thousands of dollars just so they can reveal to everybody what this course really is. And it's basically a ChatGPT generated workout routine and diet program, which, at this point, if you don't know what the right macros are to eat, I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, knowing is not the hard part. The hard part is actually doing it. But that's where the mindset courses come in. You got to get into flow state, So anyway, but $5, that's a deal. That's a steal, man. The Tradwife thing might not be as lucrative as the alpha male stuff. But $5, you can get an introductory course. This one is interesting. Move like a wife. Move like a wife. Like that. Does that mean like day to day? Like you walk, how to walk to the kitchen like a wife, how to walk outside, in public like a wife. I'm not really sure. I don't know what that means, but for $25, you could learn how to move like a wife. What is real beauty? 109. What is real beauty? That's a really, that's $25 for that course. It's a high value course. Pleasing heals all, 108. Building confidence, okay, that's good. Asking for help is a good thing. These are some very, very interesting courses. Humble is a good word. You can take a course on how humility, basically. You take a course about humility. Tradwife, semester now. Oh, so it says $375 for a whole semester. Apparently, no one's taken this option. No one's taking the full semester. They're just kind of picking and choosing. You can't be a trad wife and pick and choose. You got to do everything. You know what I mean? You got to take the whole course. You got to get the certificate. Because if you just, maybe you learn how to move like a wife, but you don't take any other courses, then maybe you're not even going to know what true beauty really even is. You're not going to know how to ask for help or have any confidence. So you really got to do the whole thing to, there you go. And then this one's called Unlearn. So you got to unlearn, start your journey to obtain your high-value husband. If you want to, this is the course you want to take if you want Wes Watson in your life. You know what I mean? But look at this guy. This guy's jacked. He's ripped. He's rich, ripped, and rare. And so if you want to attract Wes Watson, you got to unlearn some things first. Then you got relearn. So you got to do unlearn and then relearn, of course. You got to do these in order. Not equal is not less. Okay, women aren't logical, and that's good. Listen, I'll teach you these courses. I mean, I feel like I could teach these courses. Women aren't logical, and that's good. I could teach that course easily. $25. I mean, I'll do it for 20. I'll do it for $20. You want to learn that women aren't logical and how that's a good thing for $20? I'll teach you. Just hit me up in the DMs. I'll show you what you need to know regarding the topic that women aren't logical, and that's good. And then we got Tradwife semester. What is a Tradwife? Okay. How to be a wife. There's like 8 courses, and you can get them for $375 per semester. And I think it looks like there's 2 semesters. Yeah. So we got 2 semesters, 5 courses. So there's 10 courses, and then you could have your Tradwife certificate for just a cool. It's less than $1,000. Can you believe it? It's less than $1,000? Wow, it's amazing. Amazing. We've got admissions here. I wonder what the qualifications are to get into this university. So you can register. That's all you got to do. You just got to register. There you go. That's good. And then we got the shop. Let's see what kind of items they have in the shop. So we've got the Tradwife University apron. I might get this for my wife, as a surprise. Just as like a surprise Tradwife University apron. We got the old license plate. We got the water bottle. They need one of those water bottles that all the girls are getting. What are they called again? The Stanleys. Yeah, the Stanleys. We got some swag here. Got this lady over here with the Tradwife. I mean, look at these Tradwives. They're just there. They're just learning. We even got Tradwife University women's high top sneakers. These are all the rage, man. I don't know. I see ladies with these kinds of shoes everywhere. Those are all the rage, man. Anyway, so that's that. Let's see about us. Let's check it out. Tradwife. A wonderful serenity has taken possession of my entire soul, like those sweet mornings of spring, which I enjoy with my whole heart. I am alone. I feel the charm of existence. A wonderful serenity has taken. What? So the philosophy. This has to. I wonder if this is a joke. I really do. The philosophy and the principle, and the key to success are the same sentence. Very very strange. Updated material, graduation. Your graduation from Tradwife will give you the ultimate opportunity to gaining a husband. We look forward to hearing about your new husband and wedding. To you in courses. It's very strange. This is very strange. I don't. It's hard for me to know if this is real or not. I don't know. I feel like it can't be real, but maybe it is. I mean, who knows? But in any case, this is the thing about this stuff, right? Look at this. You got a lady sewing here. Here's the problem though. Somebody should have told her that she needs to grow her hair out a little longer. I mean, if you really want to be a trad wife, I mean, I don't think this is the right look. I mean, you've got to grow your hair out. But maybe she just started. And it takes time to grow hair out. So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. But a lot of people are like very upset at John. That they're saying that well, at least they're learning how to be trad wives, even if there's some LARPing going on and there's some kind of cringy sort of grifting going on. At least that's better than learning how to be a girl boss or whatever. And to that, I mean, I do agree. Right? It doesn't mean we can't have a good time laughing at Tradwife University. We could certainly do that, but it's definitely better than the girl boss aesthetic, And I've done a video on that before. But and the thing is, like with Wes Watson too, like it could be worse, right? Like they could be watching content on how to get in touch with your feminine side or something like that, or how masculine, and you could be a soft masculine male or something like that. Yeah, that's not correct. You know what I mean? Like there's something true about what they're saying. Yeah, you want to be a strong guy, you want to have your stuff together, you want to have a good constitution about you and all that kind of stuff. Now I can laugh at Wes Watson because a lot of what he says is a joke, right? And obviously the Tradwife stuff here, some of it is a joke, right? But at the same time, there is something good about it. There's something true about it. It's better than someone in the comments said. It's better than watching a feminist. And that's true. It's better than watching a feminist, But I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I feel like when you make fun of the Tradwife influencers or the alpha male guru types, like it's easy to do. It's easy to do, and I don't think it's necessarily like a unique problem, right? It's not like the Tradwives are unique in the fakeness of what they present, right? I don't think that it's the internet. That's what happens on the internet. People, influencers have a very curated life. They have they put certain things forward, and it's not necessarily attainable for everybody. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that that's just how the internet is. Like, it certainly seems to me like you're raging against the internet if you're worried, if you're concerned that people are doing this kind of stuff, or overly concerned, I guess, that kind of thing. But yeah, the Tradwife University, it's a little weird. I'm not going to lie. It's a little weird. And I don't really have much else to say about it besides it's definitely a little weird. One thing John said too, and this is a good point, but I think there is something to be said about why this is happening. So John Harris says, instead of taking a course on how to move like a wife, which instead of taking a course on how to move like a wife, join a good local church. Quote, older women, likewise, are to be reverent in their behavior, not slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good, and so train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind and submissive to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be reviled. Likewise, urge younger men to be self-controlled. Yeah, I mean, obviously, that is what you should do. If you're a Christian and you want to learn how to be a wife, that is something you absolutely do. You join a church and you talk to the older women who have been successful at raising children and being a wife to one husband and all of these things. Like, that's the ideal situation, right? And it doesn't have to be weird. Like, it's not like you go to the older women and say, hey, I'd really like, to take like a structured class with you about how to move like a wife or how to do this or that. It's just in the course of conversation. I mean, my own wife does this, She talks to older women about, how they manage their time is a big topic of discussion, because obviously she's got a lot to do, right? And so, and the thing is, this is what I would do, right? This is what I would do, in my work, right? And so if I have problems managing my own time, doing what I do, what I would do is, what I have done is seek out people that have been successful at my trade for a long time and talk to them. How do they manage their time, and how do they organize what they're up to have better results? This should come naturally, right? But it doesn't. In too many situations, it doesn't. And even in church situations, it doesn't necessarily come naturally. Like I remember being at Tim Keller's church. It's essentially a mega church in New York, and I wouldn't even have known where to begin to learn stuff like this. You know what I mean? I really wouldn't have, because it's such an enormous church, and in New York, everyone's kind of anonymous, and it's difficult to kind of build relationships in a context like that, or even worse, if you're not even in church, or you're not a Christian. Where do you learn to do this stuff? Well, you should be learning from your parents, but the reality is that we're kind of fractured. Our family units are fractured. We don't live next to our parents typically. We don't live next to our grandparents. These are all problems that have been artificially created over time that leads to people, and I don't want to make fun of people that are signing up for these courses. You know what I mean? Like people that don't have a dad or don't have a good father or a relationship with their father, and they don't know basic stuff. I'm not mad at them for being duped by Wes Watson. You know what I mean? Like I get why they're duped by Wes Watson. And then likewise, like, imagine a young lady that, maybe has a fractured relationship with her mother or, whatever. And, she would like to be a wife and she'd like to be a good wife, and she signs up for Tradwife University. Now, this is really cringy to me. We can all have a good laugh at it, but I'm not mad at the woman who takes the course. I mean, I get that. That's a good impulse to want to be a good wife and to want to learn how to be a traditional wife. You know what I mean? Because obviously the way we're catechized with the media and movies and stuff like that, that's not good. And everybody kind of instinctively knows that. That's the thing. I was talking to some guys at the conference the other day, and the way things operate now with our families, with society, many people have this kind of this visceral kind of reaction. We know it's not quite the way it should be, right? But we don't really know what to do about that or how to move forward. And so I can easily see, somebody be like, well, I'll sign up at Tradwife University, So, I don't want to necessarily signal against this kind of stuff too hard. I mean, because ultimately, hey, ultimately it's cringe in the right direction. You know what I mean? It's cringe, but in the right direction. So hey, there's something to be said about that. But of course, John's right. Of course, John is right. Ideally, you should be in a good church where there's older women that want to talk to you about this kind of stuff and things like that. And if you don't have a church like that, then you should maybe find a church like that. But in any case, enough nonsense. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. God bless.